Hey everybody, I'm Aaron Simmons, and this is Philosophy for Where We Find Ourselves, March 29, 2020. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but in the background, my 10-year-old son is in playing his guitar to the one song he knows, and in fact, he doesn't know the whole song, but he does know the chorus, and it's Zombie by the Cranberries. You can clearly tell that he has parents who were children in the 90s. So part of what is fantastic about listening to my son play is the reminder that creativity and innovation are not simply something reserved to merely artistic expression, though it certainly often finds expression in those modes. But it's something that surpasses a particular medium or a particular mode or outlet, and instead becomes part of how it is that humans navigate their embodied world. My father is a visual artist. My mother was a musician. I play drums professionally and have for many, many years. My brother is a professional musician. And despite the fact that we have all of this creative talent in our family, it's also important to understand that creativity and innovation happen in the sciences. It happens in the humanities. It happens in the mechanical engineering realm. It happens in the innovative approach to simply navigating certain types of problems. And that's in particular what I was starting to think about today, is that innovation too often gets thought of as something reserved for business discourse or for corporate America, where we think about innovative business practices or disruptive business practices. And again, although that's important, philosophy helps us recognize that innovation and creativity far exceeds any particular bounds or any particular framework in which we would try to contain it. The philosophers that I have in mind here are those philosophers who basically decided not simply to take what had been handed to them, but they decided that question marks were not indications of disrespect, that instead question marks were invitations for continued discourse, continued dialogue, that growth is something that living things do. And so when we today find ourselves behind closed doors, we find ourselves frustrated by the lack of particular types of outlets for our creative energies, remind yourself that we remain human, and being human invites us to figure out how to pick up a guitar, how to play the drums, but also how to think through challenges that we face by creating ideas that may not have been thought of before. Or maybe it's taking an idea that has been thought of and we pivot to something else to invite ourselves to think about a new mode of activating those ideas. Today, I do want to mention one book as a recommendation. I've also mentioned this in some videos for different audiences, but it's Tom Morris, Plato's Lemonade Stand. It's a book that I highly recommend to you, and I'll have a link in the description for you. But Tom Morris was a philosopher at Notre Dame and has spent the last several decades out speaking to business and corporate and expanded audiences. And what he does is thinks about the way that change allows us to have opportunities to grow into something great. That we don't have to be stifled by the fact that things aren't the way we would have liked, or when life throws us a curveball, that doesn't mean that we have to just be stagnated by that reality. He invites us to think about how we are able to move forward into places that we can't quite predict, into ideas that haven't yet come to fruition, in order that we be more prepared and better able to think about what we've always been thinking about, but to do it in light of contemporary circumstances that might have changed. So I recommend Tom Morris's book, Plato's Lemonade Stand. I also invite you today to figure out how to innovate where you are and to be creative, despite the fact that you may not have my father's artistic gift, you may not have my son's creative capacity for playing Zombie, but instead, you do have the ability to be human where you are and to innovate, because that's what we do. Thanks as always for watching. I'll hope to see you tomorrow, unless a piano falls on our heads.